But if we're set, once again, for the people who are not watching live, hi, my name is Ember. I'm hoping to be your queen. Uh, I'll be going through questions in the chat and also adding cool things I'm excited about for if I am given the opportunity. Uh, and we'll just get started right away. Uh, First question is, how are you hoping to help the RP for the rain through? Oh, wait, that's through ANS. Anyway, I would like to help RP for the rain. I'll just answer this anyway because I think I saw it further down. Uh, Tab and Aki came out with the Ribbon Project, and I am fully on board with that. And I think it's one of the coolest things that I have seen people just throwing out. So I will be putting my whole backing behind that. Um, I am hoping to encourage people to make adventuring parties and go through one shots, which would be questing days or dungeon days. And I'm also been reaching out to a lot of the RP focused households that we have around Polaris and trying to get them involved in the rain in various fun ways, whether it be through trinkets being given out or some other things I'll get to in a few minutes. But for which group am I using? Um, what campaign am I using? So those who have seen me in my garb for it, I have been going around as Caleb from campaign 2, and Mittens has been joining me as Mittens from as Mittens as Keyleth from campaign 1. So basically my plan for this is we're more focusing on the world of Exandria than we are on a specific campaign. Though I do think with what we have planned for Dungeon Day and for Polaricon, some of the chronology of those events kind of leans a little bit more into campaign 1 if we just pretend that Strahd is one of the Briarwoods. Izzy asks, for the Polaricans that aren't familiar with Critical Role, how would I suggest to navigate this barrier? Uh, I suppose I have like 3 answers. It depends on how intense you want to go. There is the live show, which is there's 4 campaigns now and various side stories on YouTube for free. However, I personally recommend people go with the animated shows. There's both Vox Machina, which has 4 seasons now, and The Mighty Nine, which has 1. I believe the second one is coming out soon. Though not everybody has an Amazon Prime membership, I personally, as somebody seeking office in Polaris, would never advocate we sail the high seas. But I'm sure there could be ways that you could find access to these materials. For crown visits, I my goal is to try to front load some crown visits, especially to places that do not have winter sites, so I can make sure I can see them. And my goal is to double up sites like I have been for my campaign, like seeing Green Harbor and Ethereal Tides, or North Haven and Jade Hill, or World's End and Magmel. I hope to get us traveling as a group. I would love to be able to visit, run through the dungeons if that works, or the questing if that works out. Uh, find ways to volunteer if that works out, because that's something that's very important to me. I'm actually volunteering with Wolfheim this Saturday for their Come Try LARP. Uh, and I would love to, when visiting for with as hopefully as the Crown, I would love to be able to give out lower level awards if that's possible. I'd work with the monarchy of that park. When I first joined Amtgard, one of my first awards when I moved out here to Polaris was from Zyke during his king visit. And that was such a huge deal because it was, oh my God, the king of Polaris knew my name. And it was such a huge deal. And it actually motivated me to run for office originally back in Crimson Circle. Uh, some questions that were asked earlier from Mittens. My plans to support the freeholds in Polaris territory. Wolf's Point, I'm actually visiting this Sunday. I am hoping, though, that there won't be a freehold by the time that I become queen, if I become queen. But the ones that are in Minnesota, especially, I would like to reach out to them, get to know them a little bit better, and see how I can give them the support, help bring them be involved with, even if they're not formally petitioning yet. I would like to give them the opportunity to be involved with our stuff as much as possible, and just try to make things special if we can. Perfect day for me, it would be a nice warm day that I get to share with the people I love, my friends and family. And I feel like a barbecue on the beach with a long walk on the beach would be great. Um, Favorite D&D class right now is Paladin. I've been playing an Oath of the Noble Genie Paladin in 5.5, and I've been loving that character. And my favorite Critical Role character is Caleb because he's fiery, and I recently learned he's also a teacher. Let's see. Um, Lumpy asking about if I would appoint a Queen's Guard. Uh, that is actually something that was brought up to me, and I would really like to incorporate it. My hope is to reach out to the like to the role play households that are getting bigger, or at least that I have more interactions with in Polaris. I would like them to have representatives, be members of the Queen's Guard, and then have everybody be represented by one of the die in a set of dice. And I think that could be just a fun way to encourage more role play in the rain. Favorite D&D setting outside of Critical Role? I love Forgotten Realms, but I think my favorite one would be the Dragonlance series. It's been a long time since I've read it, but as a kid, Dragonlance was like really, really, really important to me and was one of my intros before I even found like the Forgotten Realms series. So I think that would be would probably be my favorite. Best edition of D&D and why? My favorite edition of D&D is because I think it's fun and I really like the mechanics in it. Um, Personally, I play 5.5. I think it's fun. I know that's really contested with some people, but for me, I like the mechanics. I can make my character the way that I would like to make my character. My legacy as queen, what I hope it would be. I hope it would be one that I could make some special moments for somebody. Um, these are I think it's pretty obvious for anybody who's been in a monarchy position or in leadership, uh, is that you're never going to make 100% of the people happy. But I would like to make as many people have a genuinely good time as I can by encouraging battle gaming, by encouraging questing and role play, and giving people those big moments and letting them shine. Um, I would like there to be more positive memories than negative memories. That's my main focus. And then King Broton giving a lot of really good questions. My leadership history in Amtgard. Um I spent before this current reign, I spent a year as Monarch of Crimson Circle, which is a duchy. Besides that, I have done a lot of volunteering. I have been a a Krat of Amp Pride for 2 years in a row. And uh, besides that, I just try to kind of be helpful where I can. I don't have, I am the current GMR, as Katie's pointing out to me, uh, but that has been, to me, I've been trying to be there as a break glass in case of emergency uh, member of Monarchy and helpful where I can, but trying to kind of help with the transition, I guess. But I have leadership history outside of Amtgard, which well, I've only been in Amtgard for 2 years. I have been involved in some form of LARPing since I was 8, and I'm 33. But for me, I am aware that Amtgard is a very different system. But I've also been leaders in non-LARP things. Three main goals for the reign. I would like to encourage more role play. I would like people to get excited about just about each other, I guess. Because like, I'm really excited about this reign, but I understand that not everybody's a Critical Role fan, and not everybody's even necessarily a Dungeon and Dragons fan. But I think it's just kind of a medium to hype people around us, and I just want people to be able to have fun. For me, leadership is one of the biggest forms of service. So, like those who are willing to put themselves out there and be in a monarchy, and that's just um, kind of how I just kind of how I view it, I guess. Current thoughts on the Polaris mindset, and how Polaris does things. I will say, being somebody who moved here from Rising Winds, I love Polaris. I consider very many people across this kingdom my family, and I'm actually in a position where I'm getting a very important surgery in my transition in a month, mostly due to help from people in Polaris, helping me fundraise, and I could never repay that debt. Um, my experience with the way Polaris does things is we kind of like we go hard, but like it's we fight hard, but we love hard kind of a thing. It's I feel comfortable going. I love that I can feel comfortable going up to most people in Polaris and just being friendly with them. And like, even if I haven't interacted with them a lot, I still feel like we are family in a way. And that means so much to me. How much weight do I put behind out of kingdom people's thoughts on things? I think that's going to depend a lot on context. There is definitely going to be people who are outside of the kingdom that do have good insight of things. For example, while we're not having it this year, keep being an interkingdom event. That's a really good way that you can see how uh, you can get people's perspectives from outside of the kingdom in things like battle gaming, or if they're doing service, or like for example, hopefully during my reign we have food fight, and people from outside of the kingdom are likely going to be the ones pointing out work that people in Polaris are doing. However, there are things that I would take the weight of somebody in Polaris a lot heavier, especially higher level wards because they're the ones who are interacting with them more. And I feel that Polaris has a fairly high standard for a lot of our awards, uh, which I would like to keep that going. Which leads into my standards for awards. Uh, I love giving out awards. Um, however, one thing I'm really excited about is if I become queen, I'm going to have people around me that are also very experienced with, for example, Zyke's running unopposed for Kingdom, and he's been somebody who I've looked up to as king. I'll have people around me that I can look to and talk to. For example, when it comes to giving somebody a Paragon award, uh, I could talk to other Paragons, or I can get inputs from, for example, our champion and the like. Um, I would like to give more awards out if I have the crafters for it, and if the people have people have done the thing. I want to give them the thing. I also want to give people the awards with the love and care that they deserve. Am I planning on traveling outside of the kingdom during the reign? Um, I don't have any immediate plans to travel outside of the reign, outside of the kingdom during the reign. But if an opportunity opens itself up, I'd be open to it. I am planning on going down to Indiana during my reign, but that's for Oktoberfest, which is a Bellegarth event. But we'll see how it goes from there. Conflict mediation. Um, I like to think that I am at least as good at it as uh, I think judging yourself and how you are at conflict mediation is really hard without having a conflict to mediate. Um, Having people being able to talk to each other, being able to keep people, being able to try to stay unbiased, and being able to keep anonymity when possible is really important for that. I would like to think that I would do a good job. I've had to help people deal with that before in the past. Um, but I assure you that if I become queen, when it comes to conflict mediation, I will do what I can, and we will be sure to handle it as a team. Three main events. Goals for the three main events. Part of it is I want to let things play out. I'm really trusting of the teams that are involved. Uh, I do know for Polaricon because it is we're going to the Feywild. My goal is to have somebody in a green cloak dress be the traveler and give people little chaos things. Like lighthearted, like silly things that are not disruptive. Besides that, I am probably going to reach out to the leaders of the events and see if we can do some fun things with it. Uh, my favorite Critical Role campaign is definitely the Mighty Nine, and honestly, that's because that's the only one that I have listened to start to finish. I actually just finished Mighty Nine the day before yesterday, and really, it was really good, really intense. And am I planning on knighting anyone? I do have two people that I have talked with already that are eligible that have been voted on by the Knights Council, Circle of Knights. Um, my current plans are Salone and Mittens, both for Knight of Flame, because both of them do a lot of volunteering. Uh, what is the Ribbon Project? I see it's been tagged right immediately right below. Something I'm very excited about. Will I keep the town hall on track and ensure the PM does it? Yes, I would love to see that done, and I will make sure to be there for it. Um, yeah, I'm not sure what happened last year, but um, but yeah, I will be working with the team and making sure it's done. Uh, my favorite kind of battle game. This is a good one. I like ones that have a lot of terrain, and I like ones where the objective is where there's like a lot of little objectives. Like the ones where you have to like grab the ball and put it back into your base. I like those a lot because of you can still feel like you're doing something even if you're like for example if your team's getting blown out of the water. I'm from the Warlord Park and battle and a lot of battle masters. Some days you're jumping into a battle game and you're like, I'm gonna have a great time. And that's when one of the battle masters decides that today's the day that they're gonna humble you. Um, but yeah, I like those games that you can, especially if there's a game where you could be silly. I love being silly. I don't play any of my classes to be good. I play them normally for a bit. I'd be stepping up on the 10th anniversary of our first kingdom coronation. What would you do to celebrate our 10th year? I only I think it was M Hog made a post a few weeks ago mentioning about the 10th anniversary. And I knew the 10th anniversary was coming up, but I didn't realize that GAC was the 10th anniversary. Um I don't yet have something planned for that. However, I would love to get with people, honestly, whether I win or not, to try to help make this something special. I'm always open for ideas. You can always put me, you can always reach out, give me ideas, and we can make something happen. Maybe we'll do birthday cake with 10 candles. Do you have any plans to make Ant Pride more of a priority? So I've been Rep Wrangler for Ant Pride 2 years in a row. And I actually, ironically, I actually plan to step down after this year to let somebody else take over. Um, I guess for Amped Pride, on one hand, it's really important because Pride Month. But also I really want to try to make pride and inclusivity more of a year-round thing. So while I would like to make Amp Pride more prominent, um, I would like to just make sure that people are more seen in general. Polaris is already a pretty safe community from my experience, but I would love to help it be more visibly so. Um, how do I plan to grow future leaders of Polaris and Amguard and help make the reigns after mine successful? Um, I think one thing I would really love to do is be helpful with the transition, and I would love to give advice and basically things that I've learned from being in leadership uh, to anybody who's interested in rising up into office or to help run things. Um, I've already talked with a few people about who have been thinking about running after me about ways that I can kind of help hype them up based on who wins. Um, and then how can I grow event attendance? So one thing that I think could really help with event attendance is getting more bang for your buck. Things are expensive right now, and I know it's not just in Polaris, but in um basically nationally, AmpGuard is kind of having like a lot of burnout and a lot of people having less engagement. And I know that the rising cost of things helps or hurts that. Um, I know one thing that has been proposed for Polaricon is having some tournaments Friday night and then having battle games on Saturday. So people don't feel necessarily feel like that. Like for example, if they're a judge or they're running the tournaments, that they are coming there just to work and that they don't get to enjoy the event. Hopefully that helps, but besides that, I think having fun events and having big things to draw people in will help a lot. I will definitely travel when I can, Lumpy. And Madman, the Lord and Savior of the Silent One, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not catching the reference. Bringing back class guild masters. I think it could be a lot of fun, at least if nothing else from a role play perspective. Having people learning the class, I know we have the Good Game Academy, which is pretty cool for people to kind of learn. Um, but when it comes to bringing back class guild masters, that is something that I'd have to definitely talk to like Champion and some of our paragons and stuff to go back um, on on stuff like that. I think it's cool. I think knowing that like as I like to play monster, if I can like go bug Torgan or Zyke or Vault and be like, hey, help me learn. I think the guild masters could help kind of really hype it up a bit, but we'll have to see. For level testing, I was actually just so I almost brought this up, but I'm glad the question is being asked. Um, I'm of two minds of it. I understand that you put the credits in, you just want to be the next level. Um, I think also it's important that people are going to play the class, they should know the class. I'm not 100% sure if I'm on board with actually making there be tests. I think tests could be cool. I think it could make levels feel like they mean something, but with so many people already being like, I think I wouldn't want to put them out now and then have all the people who are level 6 just not have to do them, and then that just be a burden that we put on new players. That's my concern. Um, what will I do to support the kingdom if I don't win? So, for those of you who don't know, Aki is my belt sister. So I promised her that if she won, I would dramatically punch a hole in the table and storm off site for like 20 minutes. But my goal is to make the rain as fun as possible for as many people as possible. If Aki wins, you're probably going to see me running around the field as a Muppet. We're gonna we're gonna see where we go from there. Okay, the whispered one. That makes more sense. Big fan. Big fan of Andy Serkis doing a wonderful job with the voice. Grandmasters could also wrangle their classes paragons for recommending new masters. I think that could be really cool. The way that I had it explained to me for paragons was that people would talk like in the chats, I guess that we have in the Discord, and get their feedback from there. But having like a grandmaster could be a really good way of directing, like kind of more having them the paragons put together a list and then sending it up. I think that could get a lot more people noticed that, for example, like the Monarch and the Champion don't see. I think that could be cool, and that's definitely something I could be open to communicating with more in the future. Oh my goodness, I got down to the end of the list. um, Hydrating. Something that was not covered, but I really wanted to mention is for relics this next reign. My goal is to focus on the vestiges of divergence, which are basically um, magic items created by the gods, but there's a lot of different things. I know we all love Michael's hammer and Shield of the Chosen, and Flame Blade. This is my personal favorite. But one thing I really liked about the Magic Rain was that we had really, really, really cool um, uh, relics that weren't weapons. Like there was a cloak, there was a veil, there was a spell book, which is one I definitely want to bring back. And I've also been talking with some newer upcoming crafters. So if you know any crafters that want to kind of get their name out there, you can send them my way. Um, Tell us more about the dungeon and quest stuff that individual parks can make. I am glad that you asked, random citizen. Um, so my goal is to have each park create a one shot, which those of you who are not familiar with Dungeons and Dragons is a term for a campaign or event that is in one setting. Originally, I had pitched this as just like a dungeon, like a mini dungeon that each park would run that adventuring parties could go through. But Bremen actually brought up a good point of that. Like things like Dungeon Day really shows that dungeons can be really hard for people to do. So I wanted to make sure to incorporate quest days, which is something that parks big and small can do. Um, when it comes to scoring, because my goal is to have judges um, score the one shots very similar to like an A&S competition. I don't have a rubric yet. That is something I plan to work on with people that I feel have more experience judging than me. And the smaller parks will get a little points boost based on being small. So that way, then we don't just have Magmel, Wolfheim, and CC or other big parks just using sheer numbers to power through it. My goal is to have uh, each park have one, and then have adventuring parties from other parks and within the park also go, and we'll keep track of which ones each adventuring party goes through, and then I would like to have something special at the end for the adventuring party that goes through the most dungeons or most one shots. That's my really fun post asking what your adventuring party name is, or because we have some really cool ones here in Polaris, like the Frozen Chosen or Dog Soldiers One. But hopefully these can just be fun little days to get more people coming to everybody's parks. Especially if we have hopefully a regent that encourages people to travel as well. Okay. Another thing that I forgot to mention when Izzy mentioned that not everybody's super familiar with Critical Role, and also asking about the question about what campaign I'd be using, is that Critical Role is a setting, like Exandria is the setting, and that's really what I'm focusing for. Um, and if you're not familiar with Critical Role, it's you can easily fit in a normal Dungeons and Dragons persona, or even just your normal Amtgard persona into this world, and you might not even notice a difference unless you really, really, really look into it. It's a lot of it is pretty generic fantasy that should be pretty easy for people to mesh with. And yeah, Lumpy, that's basically yeah, mini 1 day events is what I'm hoping the one shots will be. And let's see, another thing that I forgot to mention, I talked with our current King Broton about this during one of my visits during my campaign. But with the Polaris Adventurers League coming back, if one, to encourage more people to do this because it's really cool, and two, with with it fitting very nicely into the rain theme, uh, those that do the Polaris Adventurers League, it would count as a credit day, similar to Bardic or ANS Community Night. Because yay, I think it'd be a lot of fun. I think it's a really cool thing that people are doing. What kind of support do I need going into this new adventure? Um, I think one of the best things about this is that I've had a lot of people supporting me. I definitely would not be here running if I did not have a lot of support. But people who are willing to be crafters is always really good. People who are willing to be excited about the rain is always really helpful. Um, People who have been in office before, they're always willing to pass on advice that they've had. My favorite thing to ask people when I'm able to bring it up in conversation, which I asked Mittens earlier, is um, what is one thing that you learned while you were in office that you wish you knew beforehand? And more or less, my plan is if I earn the honor of being queen, I will be reaching out to a lot of the monarchs of the past, both park level and kingdom level, to get their thoughts. Because, who boy, being monarch of CC, did I learn a lot. Um, Two warriors dress up the same person to be an Echo Knight, Scott's gonna be Blood Hunter. That would be amazing, and I would love to see it. Was one thing I learned while I was in office that you wish you knew beforehand. Um, a really big one is delegation. When I first became Monarch of CC, I wanted to do everything myself. Um, Mostly because I didn't want to ask other people to do things and I didn't want to be an inconvenience. I have learned that people around me do want to help, and other people that are in office want to do cool things. So that's definitely one big thing that I have learned. And another thing that I have learned is a lot of people have loud opinions, and sometimes people say things in ways that they do not mean. So instead of focusing on how something was said, try to focus on what like the merit of like the meat of what was said, and think of like what insight that other people could have, because sometimes you can be blind to other perspectives, and that's something that I would like to think that I've picked up on. Oh, my knight's here. Hi, Hazel. um, right, that was definitely one of my big points, is that, sometimes somebody is really heated because they were just running around all day, and, uh, they may not mean to sound angry. They might just be really exhausted or out of breath or hungry, and, yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing I had to learn in office, and I hope, that having people around me as well that are experienced that can help me. Um, basically, if I win with Zyke running unopposed for champion, he was the king when I first came here. At least the first monarch I met. I definitely plan to be asking a lot of advice from him. I hope to talk to Hamlet and McNichols and Broton, and just get a lot of feedback. And bright side, I may not know everything, but I almost can guarantee that in any situation of like awards or something like that, there is somebody in Polaris that I know who I can talk to about it. Let's see, we have 10 minutes left. And I guess one thing that I didn't mention is that for those of you who know me, I'm very passionate about volunteering. I was really excited about the flame path for knighthood before I knew it was the flame path. I promise it is a coincidence. One thing that I want to do both for my campaign and for when I am monarch is I would like to volunteer and lead by example. For example, I am planning on being at all the Packers games, at least all the ones that I can. Hope is all of them again. But for those of you who don't know, CC is kind of loaded. One thing that I would like to do is I haven't decided how I'm going to pick yet. I've either toyed with a park that sends a volunteer, or I roll a d12 or something like that. But the money that I will be earning from fundraising at the Packers games will be going to a different park each time. Minnesota's Wildbot. I'll go with that. Yes. You know what? Sometimes we uh we got to be patriotic about Polaris. I have mentioned a few times that Polaris very much as a kingdom has saved my life on at least one occasion. And that's why I will die for this kingdom. I will put myself forward and work in whatever I can for this kingdom. We are the best kingdom. I heard a very charismatic voice on a documentary say that we're the best. Would I want to do any raids on other kingdoms? So I'm really sad I missed the trip out west. I originally thought I was having my surgery that same week, but it's actually a month from tomorrow. Uh, but I believe I don't know if the 13 Roads one is still happening. But I believe that's at the end of this reign. I would like to go. Um, but I would like it's not okay. Um, I would be open to doing a raid. I would have to talk to leaderships of other kingdoms. Um, because I think the important thing is, and I think the trip out west really did a good job for this, is that yeah, it's called a raid, but I want it to be a sense of building community, because that was a big thing I loved about like Keep, and all the Belagarth that I do is down in Indiana, which is deep in like Rising Winds territory, and I have friends from 13 Roads, from Tal Dagor, from Rising Winds. Northern Lights. I would love to build community with other places, see how other places do it, and I would love to share what makes Polaris great in a fun, friendly way. I think some people get really, really, really competitive with other kingdoms, and I also like to be very competitive, but I just want to make sure that we're still having fun and we're having a great time and we're all friends, like what the trip with Northern Lights was. Yeah, I guess you could call it a state visit, but I still want to fight them. An aggressive state visit. If I could sum up my goals for this reign in one slogan, what would it be? Prizes, classes, community. Wait, no, that one's taken. Uh, um, this is a really fun one. Um, Probably something like role play and service and fun math rocks because we like dice. I think doing like a state visit and like adding like dramatic um pomp and circumstance to it. Um I've already like called myself if I win, I've already decided I would call myself the Cinder Queen, taking after my man Thordak in campaign 1, but I think it'd be fun to kind of have like all in good fun, but like being like adding some of that like role play gravitas if we can. Here, vote mittens and get a D&D themed category for, Dragon Master. I can hear Foul they can give. But I would like them to have one themed. Are we frozen? Okay. I would like the roleplay households to have themed trinkets that they can decide how they give out. Like the Mages Guild having potions, um, the Demon's Leash having something that does steal life. Um, Paladins of Odontology having 2 points ancestral armor, but only on the butt cheeks. Just some like things that won't break a game, but will add flavor and give uh, the more role play oriented households uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like agency to like legitimacy to have more impact in the reign, which is one thing that I've really loved seeing with the factions of this reign is that it's been a great way for people to kind of make their own role play with it, and it's something I hope to continue with the next one. I think that would be fun. I think it would be fun to be just do like a lighthearted, flirby thing and just have a lot of fun with other kingdoms and just kind of really. I played Amtgard briefly in 2011, and back then it was a little bit more role play heavy. And I'm not going to lie, when I came back to the game 2 years ago, I was really looking forward to more role play. And then it was just, at least for the group that I was in, when I first moved down here, like, oh, this is just Bellegarth with lighter weapons, because a lot of the people I was fighting were cross gamers. Um, my greatest memory in all of Amtgard. Oh, that's gonna be a tough one. Um, like, I have a few that are just like our last mid-reign, I got the title Flame Princess, and that meant a lot. It was very special. Um, but I still think one of my favorite moments, is at my first event as Monarch. Um, I wanted to give Orions to um, one of my partners and her husband, who are who jumped right into Amped Guard, but I didn't want it to just look like I was giving my partner a award. So basically, I handed it to Antarax, and I asked I asked Antarax to just handle it, like let have him handle their Orion, so then my hands aren't involved, so it's less biased. Um, Little did I know that Antarax actually arranged for an Orion to be made for all four members, including myself, of my family. And the way that he did it without me knowing was he hit me with an ice ball. He just told me beforehand just to go with it. So he hit me with an ice ball, so I was frozen. Being a fire elemental, he knew that's the one thing he always does that makes me mad. And he took my crown and then handed out the awards. And it was so silly. And I love that his wiki still says that he usurped power and was monarch for 5 minutes. Um, Worst feast I have been presented. Bright side, I could tell you it wasn't in Polaris. Um, I was at a um, I was at a Bell event, and the food was hours late, and it tasted awful. I think it was walking tacos, but it was just really bad. um, what four Amgars inspire you to improve and why? Oh, this is a great question. Off the top of my head, there's always going to be Hazel, my knight. Um, she's always been in my corner, and she has definitely been one of the Flame Knights of like who I wanted to be. Just being so involved with things, and I being her squire really want to make her proud. Um, Dag. I'm actually Dagrak's apprentice as an anti-paladin, and we've kind of joked that he's Amtgard dad. Um, but he is somebody who I've really gotten to know, and I've really appreciated his character, but also his fighting and battle gaming, and it's really. I would say on the field, he's definitely somebody who I really, really look up to. Um, I think another one would be Zyke. Zyke being both a Paragon monster and somebody who I first met as King. He was somebody who I actually took notes at his monarchy class at Polaricon, my first Polaricon, and I took it very seriously. And I've been trying to emulate a lot of that as as I've been doing this campaign. And and I think finally, I think I'd pick Hamlet. Hamlet and I had a really good talk during my raid at Green Harbor, and um, his opinion on what it means to be a knight really inspired me a lot. It was good to see that basically he made me feel like what I thought being a knight should be was not a was not me just being a naive idealistic person. It felt good seeing somebody with the white belt really, to me, understanding what being a knight was. And I see we're a little bit after 9, so I will do uh the last question from Lumpy. Oh, I'll take this question from Basalt last, but from Lumpy, how do I want to improve my drip? Um I have been working I've been wanting to make a fire Hakama pants. That's been on my list, but also I really want to make a really nice white unfiery surcoat. Besides that, I'm getting some really cool armor soon to match my really cool helm. And then, final question: would I ever consider dedicating a role to someone to be a freehold representative? Someone who would provide support to incoming freeholds that do not have resources available to them? That's a really cool idea. I would 100% be down with that. Uh, Especially because it sound like I've heard of a few in Minnesota that are popping up, but if we're having more and more coming up, I think that'd be a really great way to help Polaris grow. Or if these parks don't join Polaris for some reason, which would be crazy, because we're great, it would really help build goodwill towards other parks. I know Tarrant River down in 13 Roads, which uh is now in 13 Roads. When we went down there, we went down there during C2E2 last year, and I think they just joined 13 Roads, but we had like 4 people from Polaris down there helping them with a demo event. And I just think people going and volunteering and helping smaller parks and like the freeholds and just building that connection. Like I'm going to Wolf's Point this Sunday for their howling, and I was there at their opening. So I would love to hear that, and I would also love to be involved with that. There are 6 to 7 freeholds. I'm sorry if that caused you to change your mind on voting, but I think with that being the last of the questions, a final note that I'll give is that if you have not already, I strongly encourage you to pay your dues to your park, because not only does it allow you to vote in this coming election, but also it can really help your park do cool things like secure a winter site. And as I've been saying with every speech, good Polaricans pay dues. So thank you. And I guess good night. If I think are we good with the recording? Yeah.